Hello, friends, and welcome back to Corporate Elements. Are you successful because you're skilled or just lucky? Think about your current job for a second. How did you get there? Was it hard work or was it timing, connections, or coincidence? We often hear things like, I was just at the right place at the right time, or I knew someone who knew someone. Basically, a good networking. But there's a tougher question. What if calling it luck is actually holding your career back? Welcome to today's episode, where we break down the difference between career luck and something far more powerful, career literacy. So, hey Johnny, please explain us what is career literacy.
So, career literacy, I feel, is the ability that you understand how career really works. Okay, not how we think they work. It's about knowing how you create an opportunity. Okay, how hiring decisions are made, how relationships influence growth, and how to position yourself strategically. Think of it this way. Okay, if financial literacy helps you to grow your money, career literacy will help you to grow your opportunity. Okay, so here's a simple and random question that I can give it to you, is that is career success really a random thing, or are we missing a pattern? Okay, like a question to you, Robbie, is when you go into a job interview, okay, do you are you doing it very randomly, or is it like, for example, oh, because I work in this job that I got out of luck, or probably you were just doing something and you stumbled upon this, and then you're like, okay, I did this for past 4 years, now I can't change, so I'll have to do the next job as well that way. So how is your approach?
So, my movement to another job opportunity was never planned or
Hmm.
intentional. It's just I always had dreamt of working for one of the big four industry, thinking that okay, switching to a better company to bigger company with Forbes 500 listed company earning in quarterly profits, yearly profits competitively very high, that will automatically boost my career.
Hmm.
So it was never planned. I you know i didn't learn career literacy from anywhere. I
Okay.
learned it from you. It was a very ordinary conversation. I remember we both started our early careers working hard, staying late, saying yes to everything. I thought that's what growth looked like.
Hmm.
So we were, I was in fact venting to you about not being recognized despite all the efforts. And now that you have explained me about the career literacy, I feel ashamed to admit the fact that it was not intentional. It was, just unplanned. I don't know what to say. I'm ashamed.
Some more questions towards you, like how did you get your job? Was it like you applied online on job portals?
It was through networking.
Hmm.
And right
And
now,
was this like what this particular job advertised somewhere?
no, a friend within my current firm told me that there's an opportunity in the team. And what happened was that for a particular position, I was the perfect, within the cost, within the budget employee.
Hmm.
So it was an easy hire for them. Plus, there was a same related experience into the certain process I had, wherein from my end I imagined a greater role, a level up position with more responsibilities, but that was not
So
the case.
unintentionally, okay, you did the right thing, because I'll tell you a bit of background to it. Okay, around 70% of the jobs are filled through networking, which you did.
Right.
Okay, next thing is that 85% of these roles are never advertised. Okay, and if you're applying online, like through online applications, then that's only like a 2% success rate.
2%.
Yes, it's quite it. So basically it's like out of 1,000 applications, only 20 people might get through it. Okay, and if you notice, like even if you go on LinkedIn, okay, even if you wait one day on a or on an advertised job board, even if you wait for one day, there are 800 to 900 people who have
Who already
already applied.
applied.
There's like this one tiny section where it says, oh,
Yes.
850 have already applied your
Applicants.
so basically you're 850, and HR will be like, okay, the first 20 applications, 30 applications, I'll look at it and I'll fill this up, because organizations now don't fill up like, oh, there are 1,000 open positions or anything, unless they're setting up new, only in that case. Okay, but the niche stuff, like probably one or two odd openings, they'll come through a referral system. You connect to that particular person and you get that job. This is how it is. Okay. So you ask yourself, if most opportunities aren't even visible, how can applying blindly ever be enough? That's where career literacy will help you change the game.
So, speaking of applying blindly and being lucky enough to be in those first 20 applicants, so is it really luck? So,
uh,
do you think that the luck play a role in a career success?
I would say yes, it does, but here's the better question. Okay, why do some people seem to get lucky again and again? Okay, because what we call luck is often preparedness meeting opportunity. So let me challenge you with this. The person who randomly got referred, had they built relationships earlier? The one who got promoted, had they been quietly building skills? The one who switched careers, had they researched and planned it? So I would say that, is it luck or is it invisible strategy? So if I flip it, okay, what happens when someone lacks career literacy? You will see that they are waiting for job postings instead of reaching out, saying, I'll just apply and see what happens, and believing that good work always speaks for itself. Avoiding networking because it feels uncomfortable. Okay. And let me ask this to you honestly. Have you ever said, if I work hard, someone will notice?
I think that's how I worked throughout the years.
Okay.
I think my hard work will pay me off, and I never cared about my visibility.
Mhm.
I believe that working hard, staying late, and saying yes to everything, I thought that's what growth looked like.
True. But that belief, it does sound fair and just. But in reality, it's incomplete. Okay. Because careers don't just reward efforts, they reward visibility, positioning, and relationships. And in this current organization, I experienced it a lot. My mentor, or honestly, my boss himself, said that, of course, you're working hard. That's not, that's a given. But the thing is that, is the management looking at it or not, or the top management who actually does decide, pay hikes, your promotions and everything, are they looking at you or not? Is there a visibility that is created? Okay. So that question, when he told me this, and I was like, oh, okay, it brings to my mind that, oh, is somebody marketing me on the top management? That's very necessary. So that's where I'm trying to tell you that, because careers don't just reward effort, they reward visibility, positioning, and relationships. Yeah.
That really hit harder than any feedback, Johnny. Let me tell you this. I I had received. So, what does career literacy look like?
Hmm. So let's break it down. Okay, so you're starting with, first thing is that the strategic job search. Instead of asking which jobs can I apply to, ask yourself, where is the demand growing and how do I position myself there? So how will you do that? Okay, you will first check what industry you're into. Then you will talk to people inside roles, and then tailor the story and not just the resume. Okay, so how I did this particular thing in my current organization, I started off as an analyst. To be very honest, I joined as an analyst 5 years back, and I started working through all the grunt work and everything. And at some point of time, one of the directors, he called me and asked me to have a conversation or chat with him. And this was during the COVID time, so I came there and he asked me that, what exactly are you doing? And I told him that, okay, I'm working this, I'm working that, I'm trying to understand how the systems are. And he looked at me and he was like, oh, I'm impressed. At your level, you're trying to do this, but are you going to do this forever? And it struck me, because I was like, okay, I was going to do that, but now he's questioning me. Then I was like, okay, yes, I told him that, no, I'm not trying to be an analyst or a senior analyst over here. I'm trying to get into more of an SME thing, because I want to get good at this. So he's like, oh, that's a good approach, but get to it faster because I have more plans for you. Because I don't want you to be doing the grunt work always, because I'm not only paying you for the grunt work, because I have analysts for that. I want you to understand that you have to become an SME, plus you need to do these 4 5 things as well. And he, literally told me that these are the 5 things I want you to do, right? So that's how I understood that, oh, at this particular level that I am, I cannot be only an analyst, I have to be an industry expert. Okay. And that is where I have to understand that how my industry works. So I researched my industry, like because I'm into KYC, uh, I have to understand the compliance world. AML compliance
Right.
is a completely a bigger world out there. Okay. So that is the industry I'm working in. And what I did is I spoke to people who do these roles, or who are at various levels. And then I had to update my whole resume in such a way that I not only look like an analyst, but I look like an SME, I look like a lead, I look like
Oh,
someone who can handle projects, okay, bigger projects, where I can look at quality, I can look at probably training, I can look at probably consulting, etc., and what problems I've solved. The recent one that I added was working with LLM or AI models, and how to feed information into it. So that is something I'm building right now, right? So this way I've built a story for myself and not just filled a resume, right?
that narrative sounds pretty stronger, even from a resume point of view.
True.
And speaking of the skill set and the experience, that you have developed through the discussion,
Mhm.
so is it like the only, like the skill better to move forward, or is a higher salary always a better career move?
So here's a different question I would like to propose is that, so you rightly have a, like, it's a good question, that is a higher salary always a better career move? But from a career literature standpoint, okay, you have to think beyond the salary. Okay. So I had this question posed to my mentor. I asked him that, uh, that, oh, are people getting good salaries in this particular field? Because I thought that there is a capping, like, oh, the max I can see people getting is 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs. And my mentor said that our director, okay, is at least in the crore plus region. And I was quite shocked that, oh, does this happen? Yes. But what exactly he told me is that he did not stick to only KYC. He has a view of the whole compliance thing. So he's not only looking at KYC, he's looking at transaction monitoring, he's looking at client services, account maintenance, fraud investigation. And there are like so many things. And because he worked in that whole region of AML compliance, plus he has regional access of, like, let's say if it is APAC, EMEA, or probably US, so he has view of that whole world as well. So that's how he's able to get he's commanding that kind of salary, or he's commanding that kind of respect and power in his circles. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that a career literate person, okay, he will think beyond the salary. First he'll add the skills. Okay, so what skills that person will gain, how he has to expand the network, and he has to improve something called as the long term value. Like, because you're an analyst, so you are good at processing something. Okay. But if you're good at or you rise up at a quality level or a quality checker level, for example, so you are not only a good analyst, but now you're improving the quality. Then you upgrade yourself to an SME position, where you resolve policy related queries for the whole team, where you solved a problem, and you got that particular case moving, or that particular business opportunity moving. Then you lead a team, so you did all that plus led a team. So that's how you keep on going up in the value chain. And this is where you have to understand what is the opportunity cost to it. And the next thing, probably I already told you, expand the network, right? So I think we have this podcast as well on
Right.
how the network is your network. So people, that's a very good value add podcast. So please do go into that. So coming back to relationship building. Okay, so you have to understand that relationship building is not technically or not like a substitute that we call it as networking. Okay, because a lot of people will think that, oh, networking is fake, and I feel that it is just sucking up to people. No, it doesn't work that way. Career literate people don't use other people. Okay, they build genuine connections over time. I think one of the good examples is me and you, Robbie. The way we have this connection is that I felt that, oh, I I can not only be a guest on the podcast, but also I can contribute something because I have some value to add, right? And you, the basic thing that we did is we stayed in touch, even without a need.
Right.
And I think we have conversations on like monthly basis. Sometimes we do video calls and everything, and we sort of offer value to each other rather than asking for help.
Right. So there was a genuine connection between us over the years. It's not just friendship that, it says it lasts for 7 years or something like that.
Hmm.
We were like genuinely well wishers and we stayed in touch,
Hmm.
even though there was any immediate need.
True. Doing this in a corporate setting or personal life, I think this creates opportunities for you. Because think about this, will you recommend me only as a friend, or will you recommend me because he gave me this value?
Right.
I felt that he has this thing. So why not I recommend him?
Right.
And to be very honest, I got this job here as well because the person who referred me, at one point of time, I had spoken to her, given her good feedback, and created value for her. So in a way, she recommended me. And even today, till this day, she tells people who I referred her, and she's proud of that decision. And this is where I feel it is not luck, but it is actually relationship equity that paid off.
So I wonder that why most people stay stuck. If the career literacy is learnable, why don't people develop it?
Because it's not taught in your business schools. Okay, it's not that's the first thing. It feels very uncomfortable. Okay, because networking, self promotion, it feels too much of work, and most of the people stay reactive instead of proactive. Okay, they will react only when their careers are going down the drain. Okay, they'll start clawing and reaching out to people. Yeah, and if you notice, you must have seen people, you think that, "Oh, this guy does not stand a chance, probably he might even not even get the next job because he's not doing good here."
Yeah.
But I have seen people, like, because they have good connections, good friendships, or probably they added some value to that particular, they jump, they easily jump. And I will not say that, oh, there might be leadership roles, but at least they're still in a job,
Right.
right? And that is something a career literate person will do, that they will always have that backup plan. And let me ask you this one question. Okay, when was the last time you actively planned your career and not just your next job? So
I
yeah, it's a very
So
uncomfortable
even
question.
at the present moment, I'm thinking of switching because I'm into currently at a position where I feel it's a fear-based environment,
Hmm.
and now that we are doing so much of content work, podcasting, and we are learning parallelly, so it gives me an understanding of what's happening. I know when I'm manipulated. I know when I'm misused. So I don't like to be taken as a fool,
True.
and I know that even if I speak up, it is going to fire back on me.
Correct.
And just like me, I think most people think about their career when they're unhappy. And I have seen one person on notice period. Since we have of more than 2 months of a notice period, people start thriving for another job on the second month. It's not the case where they already have an opportunity and they are smartly moving on, then definitely we will call them as a career literate. But that's not the case. And often when people feel stuck, and People mostly, if they are comfortable at the position, and I'm not generalizing, but I've seen this in women, that if basically they're married or they have kids, then it's just that they have a certain set routine, it's quite comfortable, and even if there is no increment or growth, or I'm not saying they're not ambitious, but it's just that they get stuck into the comfort zone.
True. And that's what it is. That's reaction. And career literacy is the opposite. Okay. Career literacy is all about anticipation.
So how should I start building career literacy?
Yeah, that's the practical part that I wanted to talk about is how do you actually become career literate. And it starts very simple. The very first thing is ask better questions. Instead of saying that, oh, how do I get a job, ask how are people in my field actually getting hired. Okay. Study careers like a system. Like you went to a school, you knew that you wanted to get marks, right? So you studied the hell out of that subject. So why aren't you doing that in your career? Like you study the hell out, you follow the people in your roles, you understand their paths, you look for the patterns. And it's not like rocket science. There is information like out there on LinkedIn, like people write in their bios they have done this, they have done that. So you can, make patterns out of it. Okay. Experiment actively. Okay. Reach out to someone on LinkedIn, ask for an informational chat, uh, you share your work publicly, and then reflect what worked, what did not, right? And then a lot of people do this thing when they feel, oh, I am lonely, or oh, I'm not growing in my network. Okay. No, don't do it this way. So you have to learn to build relationships very early. I'm not saying that, oh, you start working and you start building relationships. No. First, obviously, you create your value system and then start building relationships while you're at it. Okay. Don't wait until you need help. Ask yourself, who knows my work outside my immediate team? If the answer is no one, that's your starting point. Okay. And to conclude, okay, that so let's end where we start. Are you career literate or just lucky? The truth is, you might be a bit of both. Okay. But here's the key difference: luck is unpredictable, career literacy is controllable. So the next time something good happens in your career, ask yourself, what did I do to create this opportunity? Because that's where the growth begins. And that's how you stop relying on luck and start designing your career. Right?
Wow, that was really insightful, Johnny. And I say that now I will start paying attention, not just to see what I was doing, or I will think that how it was seen, understood, or valued. Sometimes career literacy, I feel it doesn't come from mentors or managers. It comes from someone who simply sees a game little clearer than you do. And this is just what I have learned today from our conversation. So, thanks for listening. If this made you think differently about your career, share it with someone who needs it. Until next time, don't just work hard, work strategically. Reiterating again, we are available on all the available podcast host channels. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcast, and we are now on social media platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Share with us if you have any comments or doubts that will help us, move forward together.